Welcome back to the channel. My name is Emory and welcome to Better Backpacking. This channel is dedicated to you getting better at backpacking. So if you're into that kind of thing, please consider sticking around. Today, I'm talking about the Altra Tushar. This is a new boot for 2020 and I have been waiting a very long time to do this review. I will keep it as short as possible. But in short, I guess, on that note, I'm just not a fan. I had one experience with it that I want to talk to you about in this video so that you can have a general idea of what my experiences were in the event you are considering getting this boot. Before we get into the video, I want to talk about my beginner backpacking course. It is dedicated to beginner to intermediate backpackers. It's completely online, over 60 video tutorials, literally covering everything that you could possibly want to know about backpacking. There's beginner stuff in there and there's advanced stuff in there. Again, 60 videos. If you do want to check out the course, there are links in the video description in order to do so. Okay, let's talk about the Altra Tushar. Let me just start out by saying I was very excited when I saw these boots come out this year. And the reason being is because I use and I currently wear the Ultra Lone Peaks, and those are a thru-hiker's dream of a shoe. They're very popular, at least for the time being. Everything comes in seasons. But long story short, I really like those shoes. They're very comfortable. They have a great toe box, and they have a boot version from previous years, but this was kind of like their updated one for kind of hunting, going after the hunting crowd. Tons of grip on them. They're waterproof. Yada, yada, yada. You know the drill. So I bought them through 2 Foot Adventures. They gave me a bit of a discount. Thank you to them. You might want to check them out. They're awesome outfitter. They have a ton of great gear. So please check them out. But long story short, I got these boots and I went on one hike with them. It was the spring and it was very snowy. It was raining and I went 8 miles total round trip. So 4 miles in, 4 miles out. I was on trail for about, I don't know, 6 of those miles, off trail for about 2. Going through snowbanks, side hilling, that kind of a thing. And by the time I got back to the truck, there were essentially 3 to 4 strikes against this boot that brought me to the point of being like, I just don't think they're gonna work for me. So that's what I want to talk about in this video. Okay, so strike 1, and this is not the biggest deal of all, but it is something to add on top of the others, and that is within a mile or so, I started getting hot spots on the bottom of my feet, and I don't get blisters in Altra shoes. I just never have, and if there is a time when I'm starting to get a blister, it's really not that bad. So I noticed that really early on in the hike, I was getting blisters and I was on a trail. Again, this is not a deal breaker, but I can avoid this going forward by putting tape on them or dressing it in that way. But when I add that on top of the other issues that I encountered, it just makes for an all-around bad experience. And by the way, that might not be an issue for you. We all have different sized feet, and it could be a fitting thing. It just could be like how the boot is wearing. But nevertheless, at least that's what I experienced. Okay, strike 2, and this one is really a really bad one for me. And I think it comes down to how my foot sits inside the boot. Halfway into the hike, I sat down to adjust something. I think I was putting tape on my feet from the blisters. And when I put them back on, I started getting this massive pain point on my ankle bone. It was so bad that I had to literally took a few steps, took off my boot again, readjusted. And I did this like 2, 3, maybe 4 times before I got it right. And I finally ended up bypassing the ankle lock. And what was happening is, I think it was on, I can't remember what foot it was on, maybe the right boot, but there was like a seam on the inside here that was right on top of my ankle bone, and I could not get it to fix. And I don't know why I didn't experience it on the hike in, but when I took my boot off and reset it, it was horrible. So like I said, I bypassed the ankle lock right here and it seemed to let up on it, but I have literally never experienced anything like that. Now, again, in all fairness to Altra, it could just be the way my foot sits inside of the boot, but regardless, complete no-go, not gonna happen. As for strike 3, I didn't realize this until I got back to the truck, but I started thinking about my total day, and when we started going off trail, we were going on this really steep side hill through snow, and I was just sliding all over the place in a way that I'd never really done before. And it's so surprising to me because if you can see, there is a ton of grip on the bottom of this boot. And I don't know what happened, but I was just all over the place. I was sliding in ways that it was just like noticeable for me. So this one, I really can't prove that it was a boot problem, but just objectively thinking, I wore these boots for the first time in conditions that I'm used to. I was sliding all over the place. So the traction of the boot for me, not so good. And because I do a lot of off-trail hiking and hunting, I bought these boots specifically for the hunting season. It's just not gonna work for me. That on top of the other issues that I experienced all together as a package, it's just probably not going to work. Okay, so strike 4 and the nail in the coffin for me on the Altra Tushar as to why I would never probably wear these ever again. These boots are supposed to be waterproof. There's a liner in the boot that you can see, hopefully. Yeah, anyhow, a couple miles in, I started feeling like my foot was getting wet or damp. And at the time, I couldn't tell if it was just the boot being cold and my foot feeling the coldness. But when we started going through the snow, it was very clear that my foot was getting wet. And when I got back to the truck, it was wet. Now, I live in the Pacific Northwest, and when it's raining, boots just get soaking wet, especially when you're hunting and you're off trail. It's thick vegetation. So maybe this wouldn't be a problem for you. Maybe you don't have a lot of wetness on the ground, but for me in the Pacific Northwest during hunting season, that's a no-go. So really big bummer for this shoe. I was really, really excited because Altra feels so good on the foot. And to that point, in terms of overall day feel, like after 8 miles on the trail, all in all, like the boot felt really, really good. Just with the waterproofing, that hard seam, the blisters, and the traction, I'm just not going to wear them again. There's other boots out there that are probably going to work better. So what am I going to do with them? I have no idea. Maybe just use them as like yard boots or something. I don't know. So yeah, that's kind of like the 4 strikes against Altra. So before I end the video, I just want to talk about quickly one thing that I have noticed about Altra in general regarding fit and feel. They're really weird year to year. When I put this boot on for the first time, the bridge of the shoe was really tight and snug up against the bridge of my foot. And that's the same thing that I noticed on my 2020 at Lone Peaks. The bridge is a little snug. And I also have some running shoes from Altra from this year, and the bridge is snug as well. This brings me to my biggest frustration about Altra is the year-to-year changes in the feel of the boot or the shoe. One year they fit perfect, the next year they won't. And then the year after that, they'll fit good again, and the year after that, they won't. I found this out the hard way by going crazy ordering shoes and finding out that they're floppy or super tight. They're literally off year to year, in my experience, by a half a size to a full size. So it's really frustrating buying shoes online. If you're going to buy Altras, you have to go into the store to try them on. If you're gonna buy that shoe for that year and you've never tried it on before, that is my advice, because if you just say, oh, I'm a 9 in 2019, I'm a 9 in 2020, it's just not gonna be the same. For me, 2019 did not fit at all whatsoever. 2020 did fit. 2018 did fit. 2017 did not fit. It's crazy, I don't understand it, but apparently this is a thing with Altra. So that is it. That is my quick down and dirty on the Altra Tushar. Very promising boot, but very disappointing for me. I won't be using it going forward. Hopefully this was helpful to you. Maybe in 2021, they'll fix the boot. And again, this is kind of a process. Altra is kind of a new company for the most part, so they have some stuff to figure out. But if this video was helpful in any way, shape, or form, let me know. I would love to hear about it. Again, if you are new to backpacking, check out the backpacking course, and also check out the podcast. There are links in the video description for that as well. All right, I think that's it. If you're headed out on an adventure anytime soon, be safe, make great decisions, and we'll see you next time.